World Cup 2026. It was an Erling Haaland-less Norway that took on France in Boston, and France won pretty comfortably, 4-1 in the end. Ousmane Dembélé scoring a beautiful hat-trick. Kylian Mbappe started the game, but didn't manage to get on the score sheet, but a perfect group phase for France, as you can see there. 3 wins from 3, 9 points, a +8 goal difference. They cruise through to the round of 32. Norway qualify in second, 6 points from their games. Not bad at all, and Ousmane Dembélé certainly was the star man scoring the hat-trick. Marcelo, what did you make of France today? Some were wondering whether or not they would rest a whole host of their players, given that they had already qualified. But I think in the end, they wanted to stick around in Boston, didn't they? Because that was what they were guaranteeing, that they would stay in Boston, stay in the slightly cooler weather than we've got in the southern United States at the moment and in Mexico. And in the end, this was a team that had a target and got it done.
Are you trying to get me in trouble after yesterday and beating up the U.S.? No.
Come on, do it.
No, listen. I think every coach has to do what they're comfortable doing. Obviously, Norway is more concerned about the next match, so they started 10 new players, and that's a decision the coach has to make. You know, more power to them. I thought France, I'm a big fan of keeping your rhythm going, keeping the sync you have with your group, the understanding of each other. Players get better as the tournament goes on. You saw Dembélé the first game to now, he's a completely different player. You know, even watching Mbappe today, assisting on 2 goals. You know, I mean, not always looking for the goal, but looking for that pass. I thought France was very good. They've got time off. They get to stay around in the East Coast. So everything that you would want, I think, for your coach too. His mother passed away, Deschamps. So I think everything was played perfectly today for them.
Michael, I just wanted to mention on the travel thing, because I think some people who haven't played the game, viewers are watching this thinking, come on, guys, like you're flying around in private jets, all that sort of stuff. But staying in one place, how much of a difference is that for them?
It makes a world of difference. I remember hearing about the German national team, and maybe it's different time zones, but on the Western Hemisphere, they benefited from doing the business in their group stage and also playing matches close to where their training base was in Brazil. And obviously it led to a World Cup win for the Germans. I think there's something that you cannot underestimate, and Cello and I have been there. I know you've been there, going to university here in the United States. It's a massive country. Yeah. Now you're putting Canada, massive country, Mexico, massive country. So some of that travel can lead to some of the fatigues that come with being a professional footballer.
The way
on
we
this
used to travel is different. Now they got charter. We flew commercial flights. We didn't have charter.
Wait. That was you. No, I was kidding. No, but what Cello said was on the money. This is a France team that looks like they're on a mission. Yeah. And some teams and some managers, you can do whatever you want, as you said, but they almost look like they were playing for Didier Deschamps. Yep. And I'm glad that you mentioned Deschamps and the passing of his mother, and, you know, just condolences to the Deschamps family. But this is a team that was playing to do something that they've only done 2 times before. It's only the 3rd time they've ever won all 3 group stage matches in a major international tournament. 1984, they do it at the Euros. They won that tournament. 1998, they do it at the World Cup where they hosted. They won that trophy. 2026, they do that at this World Cup. TBD, we'll see. So there's a bit of deja vu going through the team, but I thought from start to finish, there were some really good performers on the day. Dembélé aside, which we're going to get to, it just seemed like this France side, they were flexing their muscles, and they wanted to make a statement, irregardless of if Erling Haaland was on the field.
You got to get the job done, though, right? It doesn't matter who's on the field. Just like we talked about the U.S. yesterday. The U.S. doesn't matter who's on the field, you got to get the job done. France came with a mission. They came, and let's be honest, when you're playing a second team, we'll say, from Norway, with all due respect, everybody wanted their goal. Everybody wanted to score today.
And a man on the mission is the man behind us there, Ousmane Dembélé. It feels for me like the World Cup so far, or up until this game, had been a story of Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo. And Ousmane Dembélé today was, hang on a minute, don't forget about me. I can still play. I've won the Ballon d'Or. He was unstoppable in that first half.
But I think it's when you watch him now, he's much more comfortable on the outside. Well, at least he jumped into the middle. He's doing his thing. But you can just see that space he has, that freedom he has. When he got the ball, his first touch was right to goal. And the way he hammered the first one home, you're just sitting there going, okay, this is what we're used to seeing with Dembélé. But I think so, too. I think a lot of the players now, like Dembélé's the world, they're like, okay, Haaland's arrived, Messi's arrived, Ronaldo's arrived. Now it's my turn. I won the Ballon d'Or. I'm here. Let's see what we can do with Mbappe. So we talked about, I think a few weeks ago, we talked about if you're going to win a World Cup, you've got to have more than one goal scorer. And now you've got Dembélé, you've got Mbappe, you got Olise. This is a team that it makes me a little nervous right now.
And he got a 10 rating, perfect 10. We haven't seen too many of them. Lionel Messi did it against Algeria in their first game for Argentina, and Eloy Room as well against Ecuador.
Second fastest, right? Second fastest
hat-trick at a World Cup.
And not that many players have scored hat-tricks so far at this World Cup. I think as well, and the reason you mentioned this earlier, Cello, that the difference between his performance in the first game to where we got to today, I think is partly because at PSG, he's the focal point of that attack. He's got Kvara on one side and he's got other players pushing forward, Doué maybe a bit more on the left. Whereas in this France team, Kylian Mbappe is the focal point, and so he should be, given his record. So it's a slightly different role, isn't it, Michael, for Dembélé? And I think today, France got it right, and he got it right.
Yeah, I think, honestly, Adam, I think people forget how good Ousmane Dembélé is. People think that, you know, you can go back and think whether you agree that he won the Ballon d'Or or should have won the Ballon d'Or or not. It's a disservice to his talent. It's a disservice to his quality because he's a damn good player. And this was a throwback to when he played at Borussia Dortmund. Some Barcelona fans would probably say, where the hell was that for Barcelona? But some of the ways he chopped, turned, and twisted defenders reminded me of watching him at the DFB Pokal final when he absolutely torched the opposition, and he was just a hit in his first season at Dortmund. He's a good player, and he's just reminding everyone, don't forget about me a bit. But the bigger thing is, up until this moment, it seemed like this was Kylian Mbappe's team, Michael Olise's team, right? Ousmane Dembélé announcing himself at this World Cup is massive, and on the day, he was a cheat code for me, unstoppable.
You just keep going with names, can you?
Yeah.
I just like the fact that the coach recognized it in the first game. We went to watch him play. It was France-Senegal, I believe it was the first game, and he was right as that false 10 or that 10, and he just seemed lost. And by the time the second half came around, they moved him wide. And like, this is where you're going to play, find the space. And over the 3 games now, he was on fire today. I mean, you could see the spark. You could see him reading the game. You can see, again, like you said, Mbappe's team, right? So when he gets the ball, what happens? People shut down on him. He turns and plays the ball perfectly into space, and he's all by himself, one-on-one. Who doesn't want Dembélé one-on-one in the final third?
It was a far from perfect performance, though, from France today. And there was a period of the game when Norway had scored the goal. They had the penalty. It could have easily been 3-2 at one stage. France defensively looked a little bit more suspect for me, Michael. What did you think?
Yeah, that's where the ultimate question mark is going to lie. And the one positive on the defensive side of things, and Tony Meola will be happy that we're talking goalkeepers, Mike Maignan is finally at the World Cup, folks. He's finally woken up. He saved a hell of a penalty kick, and maybe it's a poor penalty kick from Jurgen Strand-Larsen. But when you look at this back line, I still have question marks over Teo Hernandez. There were some sloppy turnovers in the middle of the park when he would come in as an inverted fullback, sometimes a bit lax and casual. Dayot Upamecano still has those brain farts that we've seen at club level with Bayern Munich, and he still does the unthinkable things where you don't know which Dayot Upamecano you're going to get. The guy that up until the Champions League semifinal second leg looked a proper defender, looked like one of the best defenders in the world. So for as good as France are going forward, for as unstoppable they look going forward, that back line is going to be tested. The good thing, though, is William Saliba got some rest, and Maxence Lacroix, he got to get a full run of games and full run of experience for him. So it's good to see a bit of rotation in there. But that back line, as they go deeper, it's going to have a lot more question marks.
Yeah, but tell me one back line right now that you've seen in the World Cup so far that you would say, okay, that's solid, and not dropping into a low block, because they don't drop into a low block. They attack. They attack with 6 players. So what's going to be exposed when you spread your team out? Your back line, right? It's normal. But you've got to stop them first offensively. Just like the old Brazil days. Remember that? We never talked about the defenders because they attacked and they were free-flowing. And this is the same kind of deal. If the midfield forward, they're probably one of the best teams in the World Cup. So, yeah, they're going to have to defend. But, you know, it's one of those things where they're good defenders. But at the end of the day, I mean, we want to see them attack, do we not?
Yeah, I almost think that's the question about whether France will win the World Cup. They're so good going forward. It's how they are defensively. If they're solid defensively, they'll have a great chance of winning it. Let's have a quick look at who they've got coming up next, France. This is the percentage chance, and we're fairly nailed on that we're facing the Swedes, but there is still a less than 1% chance that Egypt might spring up there. And New Zealand as well, thanks to Athletic for figuring these numbers out. So they're up against Sweden, who have some dangerous players. Alexander Isak, Victor Gyökeres. They're pretty good going forward, but they've also shown their frailties in that second game. Cello, how do you think France will be feeling about that one?
God, I think they would be excited. I think to play anybody. I think if you're France, you're not afraid of anybody. You don't want to face a Germany or anybody like that right off the bat. I think the Swedish team is a solid team, like you said, but with the pace they have, there's not a lot of teams in the world that can keep up with the French right now. And if they happen to get clicking, Mbappe again, and we talk about, for me, Olise is the one that's pulling the strings right now in the midfield. He's been fantastic, just moving the ball around. But I think the Swedes, they got a good team. You know, anything can happen in a World Cup, but listen, I think nobody right now in this tournament wants to see France.
And they could test the defence. Particularly going forward, Sweden are good.
Yeah, look, especially when you look at Ante Elanga, your guy, Ante Elanga, who looks like the 50 million pound signing that he was supposed to this past campaign. In transition, that's what's going to decide that tie between, if it's Sweden, France and Sweden. And for me, one player that gets overlooked in this performance today, Manu Kone, I thought he was outstanding. He's a midfield general, and he's the sort of player that if he is looking at pastures new, I think he would be a slam dunk signing for either Manchester United or Liverpool or any team looking for a defensive midfielder that's a complete midfielder, that can run a game, that's a general, tough tackling. He's one to watch, and I think as the tournament goes on, he's going to be a star that's going to shine.
OK, time for a short break here on Golazo Match Night 48 Nations. We're going to focus on Norway's disappointing performance in Boston next.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. But the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion!
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others, but they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And we live the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad and my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gotta blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Scoreline 48 Nations, or Golazo Matchnight 48 Nations, don't know where I am. Many people thought Norway, no way today when they left Erling Haaland on the bench for the game against France, but they were so dominant, weren't they, in the qualifying campaign to get through to the World Cup. And in Group I, 2 victories and a defeat sees them through to the next round. But we did say, Michael, earlier on that it wasn't a bad performance from Norway today. How do you think they're feeling as a camp going into the knockout stage?
Look, they'll be buoyed the fact that they got to rest so many players. I think one player that'll be relieved that he gets a bit more time is Julian Riorsen. He's got a thigh injury that he's nursing right now, and reports are he needs the rest. He wouldn't have been available today. But there's some young players and just some of the supporting cast. Cello, you've been there at major international tournaments, at a World Cup, where you never know when you're going to need the supporting cast to step up with a big moment. I go back to the 2002 World Cup, where Brazil, they go on to win the World Cup. One of the players that stepped up in the final group stage match was Kleberson. The Kleberson that made the move to Manchester United. Although it didn't pan out for him in Europe, he became one of their unsung heroes, and their coach wouldn't have even thought to play him had it not been for this third group stage match. And there were some players who stood up and definitely gave a better account of themselves in the second half. I thought Schaldrup, his 1v1 ability to skin opposing defenders like Jules Koundé, I thought in the second half he looked more confident. Oscar Bob, on a different day, probably should have had 1 or 2 goals, getting the better of Theo Hernandez. And Taylor Asgard, who plays for Rangers, just showed a savviness about him that we hadn't seen while playing in Scotland just about all season. So some players stepped up, but unfortunately, you see the golf in class and the golf in quality from the usual 11 to the supporting cast.
Yeah, a real mixed bag of ratings there. Some of the defenders scoring in the 5s. I think that was the weakness today from both sides, but particularly from Norway. I think some people were speaking, Cello, weren't they, before the tournament, this team is maybe a dark horse, and some of that maybe with the focus that they've